How's it going, Andrew?
What up, Matt?
Same old, same old, same old. You're having some adventures over there.
Yeah, we're podcasting a little bit later than usual because my son is going through a pretty intense sleep regression. So slowly going crazy, little bit of crazy going on around here. Feeling exhausted, but we're here. We're on a podcast.
Yeah. Well, you guys are closing in on 2 here, right? Like 3 months out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's some big developmental stages right in there too. So
I mean, he's basically picking up words like crazy. He can count to 10. He's learned a lot over the last couple of months, and I think now he's learning to test my patience.
now to test both of you, see where the boundaries are. You know, they will continue to do that as they get more and more independence. So. You know, we just went through some stuff with Zoe, and now everything's been great at school again, and she's been much more even-keeled emotionally, and everything's been a whole lot better. So it's phases sometimes.
So I had my first parent-teacher conference at his daycare, and which is wild for his age. And so I didn't know what was going on. So his daycare instructor, Carlos, sometimes it seems like his English is amazing, and other times it just seems like he forgets. So it's hard for me to tell which Carlos I'm getting. But before the meeting, he's like, "Are you coming to the Fathers Conference?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Sign the papers, Fathers Conference." And I was like, "There must be a paper I need to find." So I'll ask my wife. I went, "Yeah, sounds good." Go ask Claire. She's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I go, "Okay." So I call the daycare in the morning because I don't want to be late to a Fathers Conference that I was not aware of. I don't know what's going on. Carlos answers. I go, "Hey, Carlos, it's Andrew. You mentioned like a paper and a collar." And he goes, "Hold on." And he hands me over to the other instructor, this lady, and she's like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "Carlos talking about Fathers Conference." And he's like, "Oh my God, he means parent-teacher conferences. He's got to schedule with you. What time do you want to schedule?" And I went, "Tomorrow?" And he's like, "That's fine. Come on, pick up." And I go, "Okay." So I go to parent-teacher conferences with Carlos. Carlos, sweetest man in the world. He's basically like, Owen is the best. He's so smart. He's got big feelings, though. I just go, "Yeah." He's like, his emotional stuff, it can be intense. And I go, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "But he likes animals." And all this stuff. And I was like, "Heck yeah." He's like, "But the feelings are big." And I go, "Oh, I know." I go, so he has some emotional swings going on. So big brain, big feelings. That's my biased approach, my biased dad opinion on it. So, but he was also like, I called it Father's Conference because he's like, in every school he's been an instructor at, it's all been Spanish speaking. And the dads never came to any of the parent-teacher conferences. So he was super excited that the fathers were going to come. And that's why I kept calling it Fathers Conferences. That's what he explained to me.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, no, it's crazy how fast things go. I mean, Zoe's doing a good chunk of the alphabet now, can count into the 20s, writes her name. Pretty damn good, actually. Yeah. Can identify words and letters and stuff. We got our first parent-teacher conference coming up in November, so for 4K. So, but due to some
Owen
restructuring
oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was interrupting.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Owen had swim class the other day for the first time, too, yesterday. He's learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah. We haven't ventured down the swim road, although now that she's 4, apparently I can get her into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which I think is going to happen. So.
What gym are you going to go to?
A buddy of mine has a gym he goes to, and I can't remember the name of it. And I know they do classes for 4-year-olds, and it's a reputable one. I've looked it up. I just can't remember the name.
Neutral Grounds, 365.
No, it's
a couple of gyms in there.
It's more out like south of here, a little bit south of here. I just can't remember the name of it. I'll have to ask Aaron again.
I know the scene from my jiu-jitsu days, so cool. Yeah, the kids' classes, at least at Neutral Grounds, were super fun. Like, they weren't super hardcore or anything. Like, when we'd had ours, it would be like they'd be crawling around chasing balls and trying to play catch. And like, so you'd be working the body mechanics, and then you do a little bit of like training and like towards the end. So it'd be mostly like, for that age group, it was like 85% play, but building kind of the body mechanics you could use as you aged, basically. And then like a very small portion of like, let's work some grip work and stuff like that. But it's like a nice balance where like, you're not going to teach a 4-year-old to roll, but you can start building some of the good habits and getting a good workout in the meantime and start building some of the stuff up for later. So yeah, they're great programs.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of excited for her to do that. It might get me to start going to one too. Although I'm pretty sure my buddy said that the adult classes he goes to are on Thursday nights, which wouldn't really work. So
yeah, that was the same thing with my gym too. I mean, it's also kind of expensive, but yeah, if you do it again, let me know. And if there's an open mat, I can dust my gi off and throttle you for a little bit, and that'd be fun.
Oh yeah, that would be so much fun.
I would enjoy it. I'd finally get to baby bird you.
Negative and no longer required.
I'm owed at least one. All right. Well, welcome to Time for Parenting and Jiu Jitsu with Matt and Andrew. But let's hit the music, and we're going to talk about what's going on in Masonry in our lives.
Yeah.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right. So we're back, and due to some previously mentioned circumstances going on in my life with the baby stress, Matt and I are going to be doing some fellowship today. So we're going to do a little bit of free form action, which we'd like to do occasionally.
Free form.
We're going to go where our mind takes us and talk about masonry in our lives and what's going on, and gardening probably.
Maybe.
Luckily, we're out of season at this point, so.
I actually do have a question for you about gardening, but I'll save it till later if we run out of stuff to talk about. So, with Masonicon having recently happened, I know you had to bail out early, but I'm really glad that the Ed Committee has started to put together these bigger education events like we just saw. Like that was the second one this year, and I think going from here it's just going to be a once a year thing. But it was really cool to actually like be able to get, we had Matt Gallagher there, author of Practical Freemason for the Working Class Schlub, or whatever the full title of it is.
I can see it over there, but I have to go grab it.
And being able to get like an author like that in, give a presentation and have him partake in the rest of the day, which is actually during the symposium, and then even during the other presentation that you missed, he shared his views quite a bit, which I appreciated. I didn't know what to expect with that, if he was just going to kind of sit on the sidelines and not join in on the discussion on other topics, but I was glad to see that he plugged himself into the event and, became a participant as well as a presenter.
He put himself on the level. Like, he was there as the guest speaker, but like I sat down and talked with him. Well, I pulled up a chair and just harassed him for a while to chat with him. I mean, he was fully in brother mode. Besides having a booth and a speaking thing he had to do, he was just in brother mode. You know what I mean? He was just on the level being like, I'm just also here at this con. I just happen to have one more thing to do than you guys. You know what I mean? It's kind of how it felt, which was cool. So yeah, he was participating and interested in the topics, which was fun. I agree though. I think it's pretty sweet that, like if you think about historical masonry, education was oftentimes bringing in guest speakers. And there would be, back in the day, you could get paid to speak, and those are bygone eras in modern masonry. But back in the day, getting guest speakers to come in who have stuff to share, like polished education pieces they've been working on, like you'll see that, like, there's an undercurrent going in masonry. Like Jason Williams has been, brother Jason Williams in Wisconsin has been doing his missing parts of the middle chamber lecture. That's not the exact title, is paraphrasing, but that's kind of what the topic's on, and traveling around the state doing like his polished stuff. And if you look at, Worshipful Brother Napoleon, or, Brother Robert Johnson goes around from Illinois doing his pub tour and a couple other ones. And he used to have a website, he probably still does, on various people who are interested in speaking. And they were like, hey, if you give me a place to stay, I'll probably do it, like basically, depending on who it was. Right. So like, I think it's cool that we're starting to go back to that a little bit. And I think it's cool that MasonicCon, since it's a larger event, can actually draw in a good opportunity to max out your speaking potential by saying, hey, we're not just going to drag you to a lodge, which some speakers will definitely do. We're going to drag a bunch of lodges here to get the bang for your buck from this. So if you're coming down, like, you might as well be able to give this to a bunch of people at once, which I think is pretty awesome.
Right. No, exactly. I think it's a great idea, and it seems to be something that's trending in not just Wisconsin. It seems to be going on in other states, and these speakers are very gracious and just, pretty much saying, cover my travel and I'll be there, which is cool. So, but yeah, no, I was very, very happy with the event. I felt like I walked away having learned quite a bit. So
it was fun because it also is a good opportunity to give people ideas on how to do education in their own lodges. Like with the panel that I was still there for before I had to leave for hurling, opening up to discussion, getting brothers engaged, getting brothers just giving their opinions, drawing people in. Like, it's just like our podcast here where we say some of the best ideas come when you guys are talking and people are free flowing with their ideas. And, we don't have endless time in a lodge meeting. I mean, my goal for next year is to continuously make the progress we've been doing in lodge of trying to make business faster so education can get some more breathing room where possible, of course. But it's like you can start to see, like, in a MasonicCon that's completely designed all around education, what would a smaller version of that look like? And how could you bring a similar energy and enthusiasm into your lodge? That's one thing I took from it too. And, I think it's good. And the ed committee has been doing quite a bit of fun stuff. I was just on their most recent, just before we hopped on the podcast, their Dairyland symposiums where they were doing a quote unquote Masonic antique roadshow, and it was pretty sick.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Did a lot of people so how did it work since it was virtual? Did people put pictures of their items in chat or?
So it was a mix of things. So it was basically a Teams meeting where a bunch of people could free flow, talk and jump in, and you could send pictures, you could hold it up on your screen, do the best that you can. And there was a couple of experts. There was a woman, I forget her name. She works at the House of the Temple.
Yeah, she's
in
been
DC.
on other podcasts too, I believe. There's been a couple of podcasts that I've had her on.
Yep,
I'm going to look for the email now so I can find her name.
Then we had, oh God. It's Chad Kapinski, right? I think he's a listener.
Dr. Heather Calloway.
Yep. And
Heather
then
Calloway.
It's Chad Kapinski's, who's the other guy that he lives in our area and the other area. I think he's a listener too. I'm like 90% sure that's one of our listeners as well. I think he's in Iowa, if I recall. And if I'm messing it up, brother, I'm so sorry. Ohio. If I'm messing it up, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And so you had him, you had her, and Chris Ludke, worship brother Chris, who is, art history. He has antique experience, stuff like that. Less so in the Masonic space, but enough to weigh in. And so between the three of them, they were kind of working it out with the brothers, which was fun. And so it was a good time. So people had items such as, there's a really cool collection that we got to see. God, hold on. Hold on. I need to see what it was called. So there's these sculptures, right? By this famous sculptor. They're worth a decent amount of money, by Tom Clark. So Tom Clark does these sculptures, and one of these brothers had the Masonic collection. So they had a gnome that was sitting on a bunch of bricks that were labeled with every state in the U.S. and a cornerstone. He had a bunch of working tools in his hand. He had a Masonic... Cool. Who was the most recent Masonic presidents? It was Carter?
Yeah, maybe.
He had a statue of a Masonic president. I think it was Jimmy Carter. He had like a Shriner statue, and then he had one that's very rare that had a statue, and it had the Rainbow Girls, Job Daughters, and De Molay on like a plaque, and it was super well done. They're super valuable. They're worth usually like $75 to $100, and they're pretty sweet. And so he was showing off his collection, and they were talking about it. Looking at a lot of the thing too is like, what do you do when you get these old artifacts, and like how can you find the resources to figure out if they're valuable or what needs to be done, like don't throw them away and stuff like that. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. Right. I said if they did it again, I would go tear apart the archives. Secretly, I know we're going to be doing that anyways eventually here, but I definitely would tear it apart.
According to Google, by the way, President Gerald Ford was our most recent Freemason president.
I think the one he had was Carter, though. He's a Mason too, right?
I don't know.
Hold on. Da, 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 da.
There's like
Truman.
14 of them.
Truman is who I meant. I
Truman.
mix up Carter and Truman all the time, and for no reason. He had a statue of Truman. Yeah, it was sweet.
No, that's pretty cool. I thought it was a great idea for them to do because, a lot of us have stuff sitting around in our lodges that we don't know enough about. And even though, like, I couldn't be on there because Olivia was away for dinner and I had the kiddo, it started a conversation between us about that George Washington, as I just found out, life mask, not death mask, replica that we have. And then thanks to Chat GPT and putting the picture in there, we were able to get quite a bit of information about it. Like, we should look at the back of it to find out what foundry it came out of, and then we could probably lock it down to a more reasonable decade of when it was produced, but it's probably a mid 20th century reproduction.
It could be, and the thing is, based on the looks of it, could be, it seems like based on that, there was a couple of periods where it went through like a phase of people recasting it again. So depending on what it says on the back, the thing that we'd want to do if we were serious about it is if we can find the foundry and we can tell the time period was in that foundry, try to see if we can grab some minute books and flip through them to see if anyone was like, and we got this sweet mask, and maybe a little bit about the story of it. Who knows? But
I mean, we have a rough area. I mean, I know it's a lot of years to cover, but if we have the old minute books from Lafayette, since that came from the Lafayette merger, we're talking like probably like 1920 to 1950 is where we're going to be like looking for the most part.
Well, Lafayette was around since the 1800s, so
I know
could get wily.
Everything I found said that bronze replicas like that, full bronze cast replicas like that, there's a lot of them right around 1949 because it was the bicentennial of George Washington's raising. So a bunch of lodges did them for that. So that was a common period for them. So we could start right around that time frame, and then if we don't find anything, work our way backwards.
I would like to believe that if it was donated at least in lodge, if it wasn't donated in lodge, I would be surprised if it didn't somehow come up in a meeting. Like, we got this mask, but who knows?
Or it could have been purchased too. So, or they might not even have been the original owners of it, and
could have just fell in their lap.
Maybe it'll So, but I think we have a rough ballpark we could start in. But we should look at the back of it and see if there's like a foundry or a date stamped on it to narrow that down a little bit more. But
we're gonna do that
it
tomorrow.
ended up turning into a long conversation. I mean, I always thought it was a death mask and never knew that technically it was a life mask of his, but.
And if it's the one that's from the Houdon, the original, and that they keep recasting from other recasts of it, that was the one used to make a famous painting of George Washington. That was like when they were trying to really create the mythos of George Washington. They used that as like the template to draw him from hundreds of years later, right? Maybe not hundreds, but after his life.
Right.
And
it was also the template that Houdon used to do the famous sculpture of him that's in DC.
Yep. So it's cool. And it was fun. And I hope they do it again because I think people were trying to figure out, like, what do we have to do here? And I think now a lot of people would come back going, okay, I kind of get the format. I get the stuff. I'm going to go find some cool stuff to bring back. Like, because now they kind of understand what we're trying to do. So, I mean, if they want to do it in, a year or something, I feel like I think we could find some cool stuff. There's a couple of cool items I have in mind from Lodge that I'd like more info on.
Yeah, for sure. There's stuff floating around there that I'm like, I wonder how old that actually is, or I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, and the thing is like one of the big things that they were saying was like, hey, do not let your books and stuff go to Goodwill. Like these old books, he's like, these are like really hard to find. He's like, you're like, oh, we have too many sets. It's like, do not like give them to another lodge or something, because you do not want them to end up in half price books. Because when that happens, you're like, dude, like these are like, be careful what you're throwing away. Like really make sure you take your time to understand what the significance might be, because like, it can be brutal.
Well, isn't it like Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, depending on how old the print version of it is worth like a ton of money if you have the full volume and stuff?
So one thing that they explain quite well, and what I agree with, is Probably. It depends on how much someone has. So, like, if it's sold at Masonic auction, those can go for a lot because there's collectors who are not even within the Masonic family. I think she said David Blaine or some other magician likes to collect their stuff, and you can see stuff pumped up to tens of thousands. You can see stuff as low as $50. So yes, like if you have a full set of an original encyclopedia, like that can be valuable,
Right.
For sure.
Or even a rare reprint of it from like the 1920s or something like that. I've seen various.
I'm seeing like $200, $300. I mean, and then you have the history of Freemasonry.
That's the big one. Yeah.
There's that. That's like 700, 800, 1,100. So like those are books that are worth 1,100. It's like those are ones that like you shouldn't give away. And they made a good point too in that if you're keeping it for use purposes and it's falling apart, go get it professionally rebinded. It's especially in those ones, it can be worth it. And there's a couple of bookbinders in our area, and I know that our brother Logan was getting into it. He goes, but if you're keeping it for collectible, just leave it as is. It's like you can do some minor things like some leather treatment on some of these things to help it age a little more gracefully. Carefully, you probably want a professional as well. But like the point is like in a Masonic lodge, I feel like we're not really keeping it because of its inherent value. We're keeping it because it's a resource. So if it's really falling apart, right. I feel like my recommendation would be, what, you're going to sell this? No, it's going to end up in a Goodwill when the lodge collapses. Like, you know what I mean? Like just if you want to restore it so people can actually take from that knowledge, I feel like that's pretty cool too. But a lot of these ones are in pretty good condition that we have.
Yeah. No, I would agree. And I mean, obviously, you're not keeping them for their monetary value. But, you know, if a lodge is out there going, well, we have 5 sets of this thing, why would I keep 5 sets around? Well, if you don't want to give them to another lodge, just don't throw them in the garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you could potentially get some funds out of them.
Yeah, or like find an actual home for them that makes sense. Like keep it in the family, right? Keep it in the Masonic community, because ideally they're not meant to, like, the problem is like I would love to crack those puppies open, but I'm scared to do it. But especially when you have, the nice thing is if you have a couple of sets, you can have some that are stored away in the back room and say, hey guys, if they're in the library, that means we have backups. So like if you want to research, just check it out. Like, so because like there's no more shame in a book than having a book that sits on a shelf instead of getting read.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good idea and it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I put myself in there as Andres Martinez as a joke, but I forgot that the speakers might not know that was my name, so they kept being like, and Andreas, and they kept calling that, and then Chris Lookey was like, okay, Andrew is
Andrew's over here trolling. Jeez.
I know. I was so active in the chat when people were talking about like the collectibles. I was finding links to like eBay to post on there. I'm like, I bet some brothers want to buy some of this stuff. I was posting in the chat. I was having fun. I was being an active participant.
Nice. Yeah, I wish I could have jumped on tonight, but it was bath night, so I was in the middle of doing all that. So
you could have had it on your phone and just listened. But yeah, it was fun. Yeah, you're sitting here today. We're sitting on the precipice of our spaghetti dinner. Did you like the promo I did this morning? How it got darker from the last one? For our listeners, I did a 3-day count, and it was the picture of our lodge with like slightly spooky atmosphere. And then today, which is 24 hours before, so when this episode airs, it'll be the same day, the Lake Lodge Spaghetti Dinner. If you're interested in coming, because you're listening to it in the morning, it's going to start at
5:30.
5:30, and it'll go till we get sick of it. For the most part, food will probably be served through 7. And it's 10 buckaronis for adults, $5 for normal age kids, and then free for babies. That's a rough count. You can check our flyer for more, but we're sitting on the precipice, and I have off of work tomorrow to come help out.
Good. We're going to need it. Jim and I will see you there at 2:30, and then other people will be rolling in shortly after that. Got a lot of setup to do like we always do, you know, get the lemonade and the fruit punch mixed up, and get the meatballs going and the water going and sauces mixed up and everything else. So
remember from your old times, the water comes first. First thing you do when you walk in is water, salt.
I know.
Now, here's the hard question for you. Did you get enough noodles, or did you follow the chart exactly?
I bought 20 pounds of noodles.
So last year we ran out.
You didn't buy 20 pounds last year because you didn't follow the book.
Oh, that's right. I had different notes. All right. Well, we'll probably be good. But if
I have 20 pounds of noodles and 20 pounds of meatballs. If you serve up a quarter pound of noodles with a quarter pound of meatballs and sauce to everybody else, we can feed 80 people.
I don't know. We'll see. Hope I've been promoting it.
Plus you have bread and salad and dessert.
Now, all I'm trying to say is last year there was a gentleman who came up for fifth C's.
Yeah. I understand how that can go. You also have to remember, I'm at my budget.
We do what we can to survive.
I spent the budget. So if we feel like it's going to be light, we'll just have to go grab some extra stuff earlier. But I feel like we should have plenty. That is 20 pounds of pasta plus 20 pounds of meatballs is a lot of food.
I mean, this is what I'll say from what I learned from my last year where I ran out, which was a traumatic experience. If you see you're at half and it seems like it's not slowing down and you're at the half mark, just tell me to run and I will go and run to get noodles like immediately. Like you can tell, you know what I'm talking about, like the rate. You're like, this is not slowing down. I'm going so fast. If we get there too quick,
we'll be able to tell right at 5:30 just by how many people are in the room, honestly. But you have to remember, that's 20 pounds of spaghetti noodles, uncooked.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is like, that event gave me perpetual fear. There were only 2 events in my junior warden year that traumatized me. First one is the Robert Burns dinner, which traumatizes every first-time junior warden. Because it's kind of a weird event. As far as like, especially at that time, there would be different officers or different members of the lodge or officers were in charge of the event. You were supposed to kind of be in charge. You kind of weren't. You're also just new to this. You've just been elected. It's always kind of like your initiation. So that one's always a bit of a tough event for a new junior warden who's doing it for the first time because you're kind of trying to find your feet. So that one's unavoidable. There's 2 initiations for a junior warden in our lodge. There's the pancake breakfast, which is your, like, I'm going to be in a controlled environment in my kitchen initiation. And then there's the chaotic event initiation, which is Burns. Those are the 2. That is your entered apprentice and fellow craft degree of junior wardens. And then the Master Mason is when you get to the end of your junior warden year after doing 30 events and you're haggard and you're like, now I'm a master of the kitchen.
Yep. No, I mean, if you break it down, I think we should have more than enough. From what I remember doing this the last time I did, which it's been a couple years, but we have 20 pounds of pasta, 20 pounds of meatballs, and then I think each can of sauce is 8 pounds.
Yeah.
6 pounds, 6 or 8 pounds. So we have 30 to 40 pounds of sauce, depending on how much those cans weigh. We should be fine.
Yeah, but coming back around, the spaghetti is where the first time I actually ran out of food. And I had past Grand Master and our current Grand Secretary, Mike DeWolf, come up and be like, hey, I'm ready for noodles. I'm like, we ran out. They're running to get them. Do you want some? We had gluten-free noodles in case someone needed gluten-free. And he's like, I guess I'll wait. And then like it took forever because GFS is somehow very close, but as far away as possible when you're waiting for it. And you're like, come on. Yeah. And poor Mike. And I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like we're trying our best. But so I ran out and there were some angry people. That one traumatized me, especially late in the year. You're like, man, and I just read the thing wrong. So oopsies. But yeah, I mean, so, I know that we're before elections, so I don't want to scare you off, but I do think that next year I'm going to mandate to our officers, if you're not in the kitchen, costumes are required.
Yeah, I was thinking about costuming up for tomorrow, and then I remembered the fact that I'm going to be in the kitchen, so I'm sorry, but no. If
you are directly in the kitchen, I will give you a free pass on costumes. You can still dress festively in whatever you feel is comfortable enough to work in a kitchen. Encourage, sure. But if you're a cashier or you're bussing tables or you're just walking around like the crowd or you're doing something else on the floor, costumes required. Because that's how I think we elevate this event, is getting more costumes in play.
Oh, yeah. I would agree. I know we're going to have some more kids coming this year. I heard we got 6 to 10 people coming from another lodge, half of which will be kids, so that'll be good.
Good. We give out candy as well, so anyone who has kiddos who is in the Milwaukee area who's thinking about a Halloween fun the day before Halloween, which is today, yeah, we give out candy to all the kids as well, and we give out a lot of candy.
Yeah, we do. We give out a healthy amount of candy. I spent a decent amount of my budget on candy too, so.
But yeah, I'm excited. I took off from work the whole day. I didn't even need to. I just wanted to.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. And, if I'm going to end up getting there maybe a little bit earlier, I'll let you know. Because there's that flurry of activity right in the beginning, getting the ovens preheated, meatballs on trays, getting drinks made up, and all that good stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, what's fun too is I left my costume at my buddy's house, which is my pumpkin head, and I want to have that for the event if I need it. So I'm going to lunch at 11:30 to meet my buddy downtown at the swinging door to get some lunch and retrieve my helmet. Claire might have the car, so I might have to take the bus for the first time in a while. It's been a long time, but the thing is sucks is the bus ride is 45 minutes.
Oof.
And how many schizophrenics do I get to see in that time? And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I miss those times on the bus.
You should,
no eye
you should
contact.
ask Olivia about some of her bus stories sometime.
The thing is, I've ridden, when I was in college, I'd ride the bus all the time. And the key tactic to the bus is no eye contact with anybody. You just keep to yourself. And the thing is I was trained before that because I'd go to New York so often to hang out with my cousins and ride in the subway. And the subway is just hardcore mode of the same thing you see on the Milwaukee bus. It's the same experience, but just a little bit turned up by 5 or 6 notches. So the same applies. If you don't make eye contact, you're not real. And so just keep your head down. Don't make eye contact, because if you make eye contact, you're inviting whatever happens after that. So you just got to keep your head down, take the bus, take a ride. So I'm going to take a bus around tomorrow and have some fun.
Right on. That'll be interesting. How do we relate riding the city bus to Freemasonry?
I think the way you connect the two is a Mason knows his place in society and knows that on the bus, your goal is to cause no problems and make sure no one has a problem with you. But give up your seat if a pregnant woman or an elderly person comes on, because that's the right thing to do. I think that's very Masonic. Also, thank the bus driver. I think that's a very Masonic thing to do. You always thank the bus driver. And yeah, that's what I got making it up on the spot.
So just because we were talking about the spaghetti dinner, I decided to bust out thing here, right? And I see where you might have went wrong. I'm pretty sure you bought 15 pounds of noodles last year. So there's a handwritten sheet behind the printed out sheet that says 15 pounds of pasta, whereas the printed out sheet, which is the one I went by, says 20 pounds of pasta.
That is exactly what I did. I assumed the handwritten one was the newest measurements because it's like on a rock. There's a layer that was printed, then you wrote on the printed layer, so that should be the newer information.
And that one only had 3 bags of meatballs. I got 4 bags of meatballs. So yes, we don't have to be worried about that.
I just want people to know that when that event blew up in my face, I was not making this up on my own. It was not an Andrew decision. I was going off of something. I just went off the wrong thing. How am I supposed to know? That's why I put all of our stuff on Google Drive, so our sitting junior warden can go in and just change the numbers and always have a current, not an archived version.
Well, no, and we're gonna coordinate on that next year so that we make sure all the junior warden stuff's up to date there with what we've been doing.
You still got to update your cookbook.
Yeah, well, that's me putting in recipes, some of which I'll probably use again next year. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I want to get what really needs to happen. The critical part for future junior wardens is to have the numbers for these large events, right? And
that was the most important information.
Right. That's the most important information. I'm not saying having recipes in there people can use isn't important, but the most important is I really appreciate and this is a good suggestion for other lodges actually that do large events that require cooking, is this Junior Warden's binder, more so than the shopping list. The shopping list is great, and I really appreciate that, because otherwise I'd be going, I don't know how many quantities of everything to buy for this, right? And to have the historical account of what quantities people has bought is helpful. But what I really appreciate for like Breakfast with Santa and the Spaghetti dinner is the timeline layout of like, at 3 o'clock, this should be happening. At 3:30, this should be happening, and you can do this while that's going on. By 4 o'clock, you should be here, And I mean, I extend my timelines a little bit to give me a little breathing room. I usually go half an hour earlier than whatever the timeline in that book says, but that's me because I like to have that wiggle room.
Well, smart, because you never know what's going to happen. And at the same time, what I would like to see is that hard book be there, but every year the Junior Warden will go in and print off the newest version from the Google Drive, right? And so then they print it, they put it in the binder. So that means if you're afraid to go in the Google Drive, at least there's something. And when you're going through the event, you make notes for yourself on that sheet, be like, updates to this, do this, we need more time here, and all that stuff. Then, a week later, when you've decompressed, you go into the Google Drive, you update those numbers. So next year, because where I fell in that trouble, the same thing is there's chicken scratch written all over what is a hand-down document, and it can get convoluted over time, right? And so I like the idea of saying, print yourself a hard copy, have the book there that has some stuff that like never changes. There's some stuff that's in that book that you can kind of leave and just go. You get access to the Google Drive as a principal officer. You go in, you grab your events and whatever else you need. The events are the big ones. You put them in your book, and then you keep the record updated so that we're always improving. Because the timelines are the one thing that rarely I've seen change on that.
Right.
I've seen, I added a little bit more detail on my version onto some of the instructions, but the time stayed the same. I just clarified a couple of things to make it a little easier for anybody to pick up, but that's about it.
Right. Exactly. No, I think that whoever started that Junior Warden's binder was on the right track. We just got to make sure we keep it updated. And, I think that's something you and I could easily sit down and work on next year, to get the Google Drive updated and then print them out and get them in the binder for the Junior Warden after me. This is my second go around at the Junior Warden chair, and I've never really left the kitchen since I was a steward anyway, so I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yep.
So,
I mean, one of my big goals for next year is to really get the Google Drive being used, because since I made it when I was, I don't know, a senior steward, or was I a junior steward? When I took we were passing around a flash drive to the masters, and they would just fill it with junk. They'd rebuild their stuff and kind of just fill up the flash drive. And I took it, I put it on Google Drive, I updated everything, I reorganized it so it's easy to follow. I got help from brother Ryan Teeley, who went in there and kind of moved some things around to tidy it up as well, and kind of help make things a little more clear. But since that date, I have been the person who's been in there the most, by far.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest utilizer, and it is such a helpful tool to collaborate and to actually pass down information that doesn't get lost in some janky book that deteriorates over time with notes and stuff. It always can be kept up to date in real time. My minutes will be in there. My minutes are in there for the trustees. My agendas will be in there on my account in the master's folder at all times. So any principal officer, full transparency, can see what I have going on. Like, it's shared for the fact that the principal officers, treasurer, and secretary have access to all of our information that they would need at their fingertips.
And actually, you know what? This spaghetti one, the timeline and the processes are out of.
You should check the one in the Google Drive.
Yeah, I should, but I'm pretty sure it was Jason or Grant potentially, that changed it. We don't warm up the sauce in the Nesco anymore. We cook the meatballs, and then the meatballs go into pans with the sauce and go back in the oven to heat up. So, not that our listeners want to hear about all that, but
why not? Why not?
We're just rambling. Everybody's going to listen to this episode and be like, why did these guys even put out an episode this week?
You know what? Did I not even update this? Maybe that event traumatized me so much that I didn't even update it. What's this one?
Ooh.
2021.
Maybe it's good you didn't update it, because,
Oh, wait. No, here it is. The main one. How to
Oh yeah, 2021 is the one that has smaller quantities on it for some reason.
So evening, 3:30 p.m., start boiling the water, preheat the ovens, grab
Yeah,
2 Nescos. So I was doing them in Nescos because I actually found the Nescos are really easy
well,
if you get them going.
we still use the Nescos. We still use the Nescos to keep stuff warm. It's we don't just straight up heat the sauce
Oh.
up in the Nescos though. We get it back in the oven with the meatballs in it, and
So
then it goes into the Nescos.
this one has a 4 p.m. Once water is boiling, preheat ovens, add noodles to boiling water, and place meatballs in the oven following the packaging timing instructions. Monitor the meatballs in the oven, tells you what to do on the floor.
It says start heating up the sauce in the Nescos, right?
Probably needs to be added.
No, because we're going to change that process, so don't worry about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to take notes tomorrow.
Make sure you check the Google Drive because I even put a pretty image and everything. It's beautiful. It's as beautiful as you would expect from me, and I think you'd love it.
I think I'm going to just go in there and screw it all up. So
do what you will. It's a collaborative document. That's your file to mess with. It's a team
I'll be like,
effort.
hey, I got all the information right. Reformat it to make it look pretty.
Oh, no, it already looks as beautiful as it could ever look. That's the most professional shit you've ever seen.
Well, after, 40 minutes of rambling, we should probably let our listeners get on with their day.
Well, I know you had a plant question for me.
Oh, I do, actually. So with those ones that I planted out front this year, the purple cone flowers and stuff like that, do I need to cut them down or anything, or do I just let them be?
So the nice thing with purple cone flowers is if you want to trim them down, do so in the spring.
Okay.
Like a little bit before planting season, so you're thinking, March, because the seed heads are great for birds. The birds like to eat them, and they're good survival. So there's really no reason to cut them now, but if you want to cut it back in the spring.
No, I want them to get big and bushy. Two of the three are really strong. The other one's kind of in a bad spot, so I'm nursing that one along till it gets better established. But two of the three are really strongly established. I'm pretty sure I may have killed off my Culver's root, which sucks, but oh well.
It's fine. I killed off two Solomon's ladders. I think is the name of it. I killed off two of those this year, so they're going to be going in again next year, and I'll see if I can figure them out. But no, yeah, with those, if you wanted to trim them back right now, no harm done. But my recommendation would be leave it until the spring, and then before planting season, right after the frost going away. If you want to snip it down, great. But it's a good resource for birds because they'll sit on them and peck at the top, and those seed heads have a fudge ton of seeds, and some of those will drop, which will help propagate a little bit around it and fill in the space a little bit more with some more cone flowers. So I would leave them.
No, I really like those. Those have got it nice and bushy. I gotta get the other stuff in there that I want to plant in there because it's a little barren right now, but we'll get it going.
Well, when it comes to native perennials, first they sleep, then they creep, then they leap. So next year you'll see some more growth for sure. Yeah. And then the following year they're going to go bananas. But the thing too is
I need more variation in there yet. So
yeah,
I gotta eat some of their flowers.
It's expensive, and so you could incrementally do it without a doubt, and just keep building the ecosystem out. I already have my plans for next year, a lot, too much, and I impulse bought a couple of weeks ago. There was some tall. God, I forget. Some sort of grass. I forget its exact name. But they were on flash sale on Prairie Moon, which is a great website if you're trying to do ordering of natives. It's in Winona, Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. And so great spot. I love them. So I bought some impulse grasses, and they get big, and I shoved them into my little mini prairie that I'm building out, and I don't know if they're going to make it, but they were so cheap. I went, you know what? It's a warm October. We're going to see if we can get enough roots to survive the winter. And then in the winter, I'll put a nice mulch bed around them so that they are a little cozy blankie, right? So hopefully during the winter, they're still slowly establishing. And then hopefully next year they'll pop. But yeah, heck yeah. Time for plants. Andrew.
Right. I gotta try to order some seeds here. I don't think it's too late to put them in the ground because it hasn't frozen over yet.
First frost, dude.
Seeds out there. See if that'll help me next year.
Well, the nice thing is with a lot of these, especially native seeds, like the coneflower, for example, they need a cold to even propagate. So you just want to push it just barely under the soil, covered, so it's making soil contact, but you're not burying it like you would with other crops. Yeah. So you're just putting it there. So when I got a bunch of seeds from an unknown location, I just took them and just scattered them through, and I said, some of this will be bird food, some of this won't. Some couple of spots where I wanted them to fill in, I threw handfuls, but you get so many seeds, and I go, some of these get eaten, some are touching soil, and we'll see what happens. So ideally, you can push them in the soil just a little bit to give them a little bit of help. But it's getting pretty late in the season. You might have a hard sell on it. Like it's getting cold at night, so TBD. But you can always, seeds aren't expensive.
Yeah. Seeds aren't expensive, and if any of them come up, it'll help me. So.
Sure.
But, all right. Well, thanks for joining us on Time for Parenting, Jiu Jitsu, and Plants with Matt and Andrew. Join us next week when it's time for beards again.
It's going to be time for mustaches because I'm having my mustache next month.
Oh, God.
You should do the same thing. Shave your whole beard, just have a big old mustache. Time for mustaches with Matt and Andrew.
Nope. Nobody will see my bare-shaven face again.
It won't be bare shaven. You can have like a handlebar going, a different type of biker hairstyle.
That was a one-time opportunity.
Well, we'll see. If you start rolling with me in jiu-jitsu, maybe I can baby bird you and shave your beard if I can hold you down.
No, absolutely not. All right. Well, if you want to complain to us about how not Masonic this episode was, please email Andrew at
timeforfellowship@gmail.com. And if you want to explain to Matt how good this episode is, you could email us at
timeforfellowship@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, check us out on social media. Please like, follow, make sure you get our word out, share us to the rooftops, scream from the rooftops and in the parks. Do what you got to do. But thanks for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you at spaghetti dinner.
Have a good one, everyone.